And Vasuki is used as a rope for churning. Devatas hold the rope in one end and Asuras, demons, hold in the other end. The forces of light are in one end, the force of darkness is another end. The churning takes place in the Milky Ocean. Many things come out on that. And finally, the nectar comes, Amritattva. This is actually an allegorical way of telling what's happening within us. Constantly the force of darkness are operating through us. Constantly the force of positive or the light operates through us. The force of light takes us to more and more self-awareness. The forces of darkness will take to more and more self-forgetfulness and mistaken self-identity. This happens when you become object-focused. When you become aware of the subject, this identity starts dropping, dissolving. And the result of the churning is the nectar of immortality. That is the realization which you have. When you are enlightened, when you reach that consciousness, where you realize that I am not a body, I am not a mind, I am not an intellect, I am pure consciousness. The body, mind and intellect have been my vehicles. I have mistaken my vehicle to be myself. So that awareness rises, and that awareness arising is called enlightenment. The journey of enlightenment, person goes through various levels of spiritual practices. Initially it's an unconscious journey. You search for something missing in you. Deep within us, there is a constant feeling of something I am missing in life. Definitely you are missing something in life. That's actually your self-nature. The pure awareness is missing. The forgetfulness of self-nature which is missing. And that's a big gap. When I miss myself, there's a big gap created in me. And why that big gap is created, I not only miss myself, I start identifying myself with not myself. Non-self, the matter. And definitely there is always a restlessness which goes on deeply within. And this restlessness is what drives human beings. All motivations which are given, motivation theory, what Maslow says, the physical needs, the psychological needs, the security needs, the recognition needs, all are driven by that inner gap which you are feeling. The great psychologist Maslow gives a hierarchy of needs. The first level of hierarchy of needs is human beings seek physical need, survival need. The second level, they have a psychological need. The third level is they need somebody to love them. They need lovingness. They need a recognition. Then finally they come to self-actualization. So all these are driven by that inner gap which you are feeling, the separation from the source, separation from my own true nature, my own consciousness. No matter what you do in life, that gap cannot be covered because the gap is not outside, the gap is inside. It reminds me of a story of Mullah Nasruddin, the philosopher. He's a Middle East philosopher. He was searching something outside his house back in 17th century. People asked Mullah, what are you searching for? It was night. And those days there were night lamps hanging, lanterns. I am searching for my wedding ring. It's very precious for me, very important for me. If my wife comes to know of this, then I won't get entry into my house. So people feel pity on Mullah. Everybody starts searching with Mullah. They are searching everywhere. After 1 hour of search, night 9 o'clock, the ring is not found. Then they ask Mullah, where did you lose the ring? I lost my ring in the house. Why the hell you are searching here? In my house, there's no light. There's light here. So that is the story of all of us. We have lost something. Okay? And in the loss, we are trying to fill up and search. This is actually what goes on. The external search. And the external search takes you many places. Okay? Where it doesn't take you. Where?
Rest house road.
Rest house road also. Right? Until you get a real rest. So otherwise there's a restlessness. There's a deep restlessness in the inside, and that searches for you rest. Incidentally, the deep rest, the name given in Sanskrit is called Narayana. Narayana is a name of not a person, it's a consciousness. Naranam Ayanaha Narayanaha. Where human beings who are restless get a deep rest is called Narayana, the consciousness. So definitely you come to rest house road. So the restlessness is what drives. Okay, all human ambitions to achieve political power, money, sex, everything comes from the drive within, which is restlessness. And restlessness is because you lost something. And you are not able to find it because there's no light there, there's only darkness there. Okay? And this darkness is some beautiful thing. You have seen candle. When you light the candle, the darkness is found around the candle, everywhere else there is a light. And light is your awareness. And in and around where that awareness arises, there is a darkness. There is a forgetfulness in your heart. And there is light everywhere. You can see in that light everything except what is deep within. Below the light, there is a shadow. That shadow is self-forgetfulness, self-unawareness. So the journey is when the light of awareness goes back and lights up that shadow, there is enlightenment. This is the spiritual journey. So journey takes you many places. People become great poets, people become great musicians, artists, kings, okay, criminals, because of this restlessness. And some point of time, it is understood that this search is futile. Nothing is coming out of the search. So then the other search starts. Now a spiritual journey starts. Maybe journey of going to temples, going to mountains, going to Himalayas, going to sacred places, meeting holy people. That journey starts. Even you get exhausted of that journey. And somewhere the journey, inner journey starts. Inner journey goes through various stages of consciousness. Lighting of inner darkness. So this journey is called, the inner journey leads to different states of absorption of the mind in the higher consciousness, and that's called samadhi. So that absorption, because mind's nature is to go out, so once you start taking it inwards, there's a different level of absorption takes place, and that level of absorption called savitarka, nirvitarka, savichara, nirvichara, sananda, sasmita, savikalpa, nirvikalpa, and sahaja. So there are states of consciousness, just like from a pure consciousness, you become awareness, then you become a stone, plant, animal, and a human being, and a human being with a self-identity, and you start a journey back. The journey back is journey into the mind, and mind into the consciousness. So there is a different level of consciousness arises. And this level of consciousness, gradually there is a progressively, there is a greater and greater degree of understanding of the mind and the self-nature. So gradually become aware of what is non-self, what is self. Gradually become aware what is truth, what is untruth. And finally, the pure awareness remains. The awareness has the ability to light something. Awareness has the ability to become aware of itself. You can be aware of something, or awareness can be just is. Awareness is or aware of. So when you reach that awareness is, a deepest bliss is experienced. That is the last milestone in your journey. So that's not the end of the journey. Awareness also came out of consciousness. Awareness also is not the final. The consciousness, which is non-dual, where all this drama of awareness, non-awareness, matter, universe, the living, the identity, the achievement, everything was nothing but a dream. And you go back to the source, which is eternally free from all this. And the journey ends there, not for consciousness, because consciousness was never bothered about journey. Somebody who took the journey was a dream. The dream character goes back to realize it's dream, or comes out of the dream. So this is the journey of darkness to light, and light to darkness, and darkness to light. So I try to summarize what is possible in this 45 minutes. Another 15 minutes. Any questions are there? Yes, please. Yeah, first come. Oh, what is it? Thanks or it's question?
This is appreciation.
Okay. I thought so many questions are there. No questions. Okay. Suddenly, people raise one hand. Now 2 hands are here. So there is something wrong with it. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, you see, yours was such a profound, effective way of making us aware of what is true self. We forgot our own self.
Right.
Wonderful. It has
Thank you.
given us so much of awareness, so we can further our journey
Sure.
towards enlightenment.
Thank you.
But unfortunately, the day-to-day inputs are so strong. So many impediments. For instance, the leading media and newspapers, they print in a bold form, why be good? Being bad is the cool thing.
Yeah.
Girls don't like good boys. No, this is the kind of message strongly fed into the minds of the people. As I said, when we are in Rest House Road, yes, we are trying to go towards rest, but the moment we go outside, it's unrest.
Yeah.
Because you hold a position, you have been now also in the technology field. I think you need to give a strong message. The real correction is good is good, not being good is right.
Okay.
Not being bad is good. No, maybe something needs to be done.
So I'll bring back the ancient school of wisdom.
Yeah.
Sorry?
It's school of ancient wisdom.
School of ancient wisdom. Or not ancient, it's ancient school of wisdom also. The school of wisdom has been ancient. Okay. So I didn't make a mistake.
Both
Both ways it's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So the ancient wisdom is the life has been like this all the time. Okay. Whether it's the time of Krishna or Christ or Muhammad or any point of time, the situation will not change. It's always like that. Okay. Eternally, there are forces of darkness will operate. The forces which will pull you out into sense organs will operate. Okay. Eternally, there are forces of light which will operate. So that is a perpetual tussle which goes on. So you cannot find a place or find a situation where this tussle is not there.
We need the tussle
You need that tussle.
to become good.
Yes. It's actually, when in a sense, good itself is a relative in nature. Okay. We are speaking of not relative good. Okay. So this tussle is actually brings us awareness. Without this tussle, actually there's no awareness. Let's say if you look at our ancient scriptures, there's a 4 periods: Satyuga, Treta, Dwapara, Kali Yuga. You know, there are 4 yugas, right? Okay. And you know, beauty of these yugas. In Satya Yuga, the life was so peaceful. There was no tussle. No struggle at all. It's absolutely serenity, calmness, relaxation. Okay? And in Satya Yuga, somebody to realize the truth, he has to do tapasya for 50,000 years. Okay? So there's no contrast.
Nice.
Okay? So human mind requires a contrast. If there's bad, you think, why should the hell is bad? If there's everything is good, then you'll get so bored, evolution will stop. there's no
spiritual growth.
Okay?
Welcome bad.
No, I'll tell you, I'll come to Kali Yuga. I'll tell you beauty of Kali Yuga. Satya Yuga, everything is absolutely perfect. And evolution is so damn slow. You look at any Satya Yuga scriptures. That Rishi meditated only for 70,000 years. My God. That's for you to tell that evolution that time is so slow. Okay? Satya means 100% truth. Treta means 3/4. So things became 1/4 reduced. So now a little bit more process started, right? Ramayana, Mahabharata, wars and all those things started. Okay? So a little bit more consciousness is there. Now Rishis don't have to do tapasya for 50,000 years. A few hundred years, few 50, will be okay. Then comes Dwapara, became much more. Dwapara 50-50. The tussle is so much, 50-50. Okay? So that period, all this, you can see many evolved people, right? And they didn't do a lot of tapasya. If you look at Mahabharata, Vidura, or a Bhishma, or many of these very wise men, you don't see them doing a lot of meditation and all that. Okay? The evolution become faster. So when the external conditions are very bad, your evolution becomes speeds up. Okay? So when come to Kali Yuga, the conditions are so extreme, so volatile, day-to-day changing. Okay? Your evolution shoots up, provided you become a little bit aware. So it's like cooking, no? It's a little bit boiling temperature, then it becomes vapor. So the more external conditions are bad, the better is for evolution. So it's nothing bad about it. It gives a contrast for your evolution.
That's how we should understand.
Practical.
Bad is new good.
But it's practical terms. In order to reach Rest House Road, I went through chaos on road.
Correct.
So, in the process, has my evolution got speeded up?
It is. It is. See, you are seeking a way out of chaos. If there was no chaos, okay,
I would have taken a long time to come.
you would have may not have come in also. Right? The evolution won't happen. It'll stagnate. So actually we have two paths of journey, okay? The Christian cross is there, right? You can see. There's a horizontal journey and there's a vertical journey. Okay? Horizontal journey is you continue in life as you are, step by step, keeps on going horizontal. Right? But you have to take a jump in consciousness. You should get fed up of what you are horizontal, right? So there you can take a jump. That is cross. So now, a condition in the Kali Yuga, okay, you look at Kali Yuga, 2 minutes, noodles. 2 minutes,
Coffee.
instant coffee,
Instant
right?
dosa,
Instant dosa, right? Instant marriage,
instant spirituality.
instant spirituality, right? Instant enlightenment. So everything becomes instant. There's a speeding up of consciousness happens. Okay? The instant is not just happening, it's actually instant is deep inner urge. Everything I want instant. And even evolutionary jump also happens very instantly in this yuga. So in any point of time, in any yuga, a Kali Yuga has maximum number of people have the opportunity to jump into enlightenment.
That is how Satya Yuga will come.
That Satya won't come. It won't jump from Kali Yuga to Satya Yuga. It will go to Dwapara, 50%. It's actually, people have a concept that it will go like this. Satya to Treta to Dwapara to Kali Yuga. Many people say Satya Yuga will come like this. It won't come like this. It's a pendulum. Okay? Kali Yuga to Dwapara, Dwapara to Treta and Satya. It's like that. It's a pendulum. It's not a circle. Okay? So what happens is that as the conditions, actually this you can see in the wars also, right? Take the country of Germany, Japan, every country which has gone through a lot of trouble, they spring back with the maximum technology innovations. So when there is a conditions are disturbed, when the conditions are not conducive which you feel inside, then you will find a way out. That is the process of evolution. So we should, nothing wrong or bad about it. That's how it is. The nature provides that. Then second part of that is lotus. Okay, the lotus is born in mud, grows in water, and opens up to sunlight. The spirituality is not about running away from circumstance of life. Okay? You have to be in the world, but not be of it. That's spirituality. Lotus is born in mud, but has no qualities of mud. Lotus grows up in water, but doesn't get attached, affected by water. And lotus blooms with sunlight, which is wisdom. So, if you look at all Indian gods, lest we forget what spiritual search is, start running away from our family, house, responsibility to some mountain monastery, mountaintop monastery, a constant reminder is kept for us, be like a lotus, means be where you are. Grow up like a lotus, boom with the wisdom. But constantly we want to run away from circumstances. Arey Baba, circumstances are given to you based on your karmic impressions. Right cooking temperature is given for cooking food. Even ordinary woman, or rather a woman or a cook, knows exactly how much temperature has to be given to cook food. Does not the existence know how much temperature and pressure has to be put on you to cook above? So who is feeling extreme temperature and pressure, I think you are going through right cooking. Okay? So don't worry about the external conditions. So the spiritual journey is not about external conditions. It is about inner journey. Okay? And it's not even inner journey. Okay? It is a journey from outer to inner and from inner to beyond. If it is beyond, is neither inner nor outer. Or it's inner and outer, both.
Just a question.
Yeah.
So, have I chosen to be in these conditions and time, or
Yes.
or not, or an outer body has sent me here,
No, it is.
and I have to accept that and go through these conditions in time, or is there a sense of personal responsibility? I have chosen this.
Yes.
As
So
a being, to explore this, I have chosen this.
what you have chosen, I have one more hour of class I can tell you. What you have chosen in life. The answer in short is yes. Only difference is, the choice is made out of ignorance, the choice is not made out of light. You chose, in the state of forgetfulness you chose. You make a choice in the state of wisdom and light, that's a different kind of choice. You would not have chosen to be here. Yes, sir.
You mentioned that initially there was the consciousness, and it's eternal always. And then you mentioned that the process of the rock, the plant, the animal,
Yeah.
the human being, and then
Right.
the self-aware human being. And then we go beyond awareness.
Right.
So you said all this is a dream.
It is.
So why start off in the first place?
See, there in many situations, or any situation in life, there is always an expression of what. There is no expression of why. Why sun is there? The answer is why not. Right? Science explains what is there. Why cannot be answered. Okay? But the answer is why for answer. Answer for why is it's an infinite creativity. Why an artist does a beautiful painting? You can't say why. It says it's my nature, my creativity. Right? So for creativity, there's no, somebody has made a beautiful painting, right? Like all these people, no, great people, Picasso and all, right? They made great paintings. At that time, some of them died a miserable death because they didn't have money to buy food also. Right? People ask, there are people that are in their people time also, there are millionaires who are making money business out of business. If you ask Picasso, that's my creativity. Okay, I see my urge there. But after a few hundred years, that painting goes for millions of dollars because of creativity. So, the creativity is the inner urge. For that, there is no answer why. Okay, the nature of existence is creativity. So it creates. For that, you cannot say why. All that you can say, it is like that.
There is a greater purpose.
The greater purpose is from human mind. Okay, what is the purpose? Is a greater purpose is the human mind. The nature existence itself is a creativity. Simple act of. That's why it's called in the Indian scriptures. Everything is called Leela of God. You heard of this word called Leela?
Last times.
Leela means actually is a pastime. Is a play. Okay. What purpose a play has? It's a play. It's a creativity. It's an urge. Now, if you start looking for a purpose in the play, okay.
Purposelessness is the purpose of life.
Not from the point of your consciousness, from your no, that's also not a true statement. Purpose of life is to live a life of purpose. So purposelessness is the purpose of life is different from purpose of life is to live a life of purpose. There's no purpose given to you. There's no purpose existing. It is you who are the creator of purpose. The purpose of life is to live a life of purpose.
Even that purpose has to be dropped.
That purpose is a creativity. There are two types of urges in us.
Awareness of that purpose has to be.
No. See, there is something we do unconsciously. Okay? So that unconsciousness is to be dropped. When the purpose you think and you identify so much of the purpose that you get hurt, then you're forgotten. You're not created it. You have become a trap in the creation.
Are you saying, sir, if the purpose is having naturally, if the purpose is happening naturally, then it is correct. It's happening naturally, then it's okay.
No. I didn't say
If it's
that.
happening consciously, I have a purpose and I'm going to achieve that goal, this purpose, then it's the ego.
No. Okay, let me give you an example. See, Buddha was an emperor, practically, right? Before enlightenment, he was just a king. He didn't have to do anything. There are people who are ready to lift his hand, feed him, okay, dress him, bathe him. He didn't have to do any damn thing, right? So rich, so powerful. And he became a monk, he became enlightened. Okay? So after enlightenment, 40 years that man traveled throughout India. Not a single day he rested. Okay? Morning to evening he talked to people. Morning to evening he gave lectures. He consoled people. What made a man who had everything in the world not to do anything to become fully active and travel all over the world? Is there a purpose? If enlightenment is dropping the purpose, then he should have become a vegetable or potato or maybe a stone. He found or he created a purpose. Earlier in your life, you live with a purpose given by somebody else to you. It's an unconscious purpose. At the time of enlightenment, you drop all unconscious purposes. Then beyond that point, you create a conscious purpose. It's a conscious creation. Buddha had a conscious purpose of bringing awareness and enlightenment throughout the humanity. That is a conscious purpose. It's a choice. Right now, whatever purpose you have in life is not a choice. It's a forced imposition by your childhood conditioning, religious conditioning, social conditioning, political conditioning. That's purpose you are living. You are not living your purpose of your soul. You are not living your purpose of your life. You are living the purpose of the social conditioning, environment conditioning, religious conditioning.
His purpose sync with the conscious purpose.
No, he is, enlightenment is, he becomes the consciousness.
There's no difference.
There's no difference.
So he operates from the.
He also sacrificed further growth. He could have gone further in his spiritual discipline, but he stayed back because he wanted to do this work.
The spiritual.
There is the question of sacrifice.
Sacrifice, yes.
No. The question is,
Come up at all.
see, the question that,
Sacrifice doesn't come up at all.
no, the question of spiritual growth, okay, beyond enlightenment, okay, there is no concept of growth in spirituality.
Because I think there is a difference between enlightenment and nirvana.
No, there are stage of enlightenment, okay. Nirvana means becoming extinguished. Okay, I'll tell you. For example, a candle is there. Okay, The candle is glowing. Blow the candle. The candle glow goes out. Okay. That going out process is called nirvana. In the sense, blowing out.
Losing complete identity.
Losing complete identity is called nirvana. Okay. So then parinirvana is there. Then beyond that. So first thing is nirvana. Then there is a parinirvana. Parinirvana is when the body is dropped. So for that I have to explain you 4 levels of enlightenment. Okay. That enlightenment has 4 degrees. It's called Brahmavid, Brahmavara, Brahmavarenya, Brahmavarishta. There are 4 levels of enlightened wisdom. The first level, the candle blowing takes place. The ego gets extinguished. Okay, that's called Brahmavid. What happens at this stage is you get understanding that you are a pure awareness. Over. Period. It's not a reversible process. Okay. But your body-mind complex has a manufacturing date. You understand? Your body-mind complex is a vehicle that has a manufacturing date. Okay? If the manufacturing date has expired for somebody on that day of enlightenment, he will die on that day. The body is left. But many cases, the expiry date will be another 20 years. The body. So the person who attains that state of selflessness, nirvana, Buddha calls it anatta, means non-self. Now he becomes aware and he understands that I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the consciousness, I am not even the ego. Ego itself is falsehood. So then there's nothing more to understand, nothing more spiritual evolution takes place. It's the hit, it's the end point. But he has a challenge now, he has an option now. This body-mind vehicle which is there, what to do with that? He starts operating with that body-mind vehicle for the Loka Kalyana, for the benefit of the world. So provided that body-mind complex is designed for the Loka Kalyana. Some body-mind complexes are not designed. So they just sit somewhere. So the spiritual evolution, beyond the dropping of the ego, nothing can happen. Okay? After you drop the ego, there's no concept of evolution or non-evolution. If somebody has not dropped the ego, then he's not enlightened. But what happens after he drops the ego is not that person, but the consciousness operating through that body-mind complex, which is a vehicle which has a designed and manufacturing date and an expiry date. So what happens through some of the beings like great beings like Buddha? Buddha has attained parinirvana or nirvana from his perspective already on the day of enlightenment. But from the perspective of the world, his body is moving around. Okay, the body is not expired. For Buddha's perspective, already he has attained enlightenment. All that has to be attained is attained. Otherwise, he has nothing to do.
He stayed back.
Huh?
He stayed back.
No, there's no concept of he staying back also. There's no he who stays back. The consciousness operating the body-mind complex, which is still operations. I mean, to give a bad example, okay, when the neck of a chicken is cut, that's why I heard, the chicken body keeps moving. The brain is gone, but the body keeps moving. The life force operates through the body. Now, because of the good karma which has accumulated in the body, what called prarabdha karma, good prarabdha karma, the body will deliver the message of enlightenment liberation through that body. And who delivers that? Not Buddha. He has attained the selfless state. So what happens to that is a pure consciousness operating through the body-mind complex delivers the message.
Using his body.
Using that body. Right now also the consciousness is using your body, but you think you are using your body. And when the ego is dropped, you understand that consciousness, or not consciousness, consciousness operates through the body. Now the ego becomes the filter. So the concept of spiritual evolution is not there. After you attain a state of no self or enlightenment, if it is attained truly, then there is no fallback and there is no question of further growth also. The further growth is there from the perspective of the world. So they see this body-mind going, some Buddha does a lot of teaching, Ramana Maharshi goes and sits somewhere, okay, somebody, Janaka Raja becomes a king and ruler. The bodies will operate in different way, but that's because of the conditioning of the body. The consciousness, the self-ego is already dissolved in the super higher consciousness. Okay, and there is no sacrifice made there because there is no sacrificer. He has made the ultimate sacrifice, which is ego. Ego is the ultimate sacrifice, nothing else you can do. You sacrifice, many times we sacrifice many things in life, right? We offer flower, fruits to the God. Flower is taken from some tree, not belongs to me. Fruit is taken from somebody. Money you offer, nothing belongs to you. Only thing which belongs to you is your ego. Offering that ego is the ultimate sacrifice. That actually is in our scriptures called Ashwamedha. Ashwamedha means sacrificing the horse. It's literally. Figuratively, Ashwa is the mind. Mind is like a horse. So, and a white horse means purified mind. Cut the neck of that means offer that ego, finally. So, any questions, please?
So time now.
So, sir, coming back to the question of conscious purpose.
Huh.
So, if a being processes everything in a complete state of awareness, and I'm making a concept, but and through that process becomes completely empty, and then from that he speaks for the purpose. That's a conscious purpose.
All conditioning is dropped. Okay? The social conditioning, the religious conditioning, spiritual conditioning, all conditionings are dropped. You become free. Then what you do is the purpose you choose. And that's what Buddha chose.
So it's very important for us to be aware as to who we are. Is my in any situation am I operating from social conditioning?
What conditioning?
What conditioning I have been given by my parents, family, whatever? Am I truly liberated from all that? Otherwise, I'm still just reacting. I'm still just a.
You are, to tell a language which you want, most of the human beings are nothing but biological robots, bio-boots. The programming is done by the family, the society, the religion, the learning education system, what it goes through. This is the programming. And we leave the programming and we are not even aware of the programming. As spiritual evolutions gradually become aware of the programming and become free from that programming. And ultimate programming is your own concept of ego. Who am I? That programming also you have to drop. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will, with this, so let us now go further into this light.